All right, we're in section 1.7 where we're going to find perimeter, circumference, and area. So what we have here are various shapes where they have very common formulas for area and perimeter and also circumference. So looking at these first three, so we'll just say we got A, B, and C. The first one, it's got four congruent sides, got four right angles. That's a square. Anytime you have a square, we're dealing with an area of whatever the side is, and we're just going to square it. And then since all four sides are equal, it's a four-sided figure. You're just going to take 4 and multiply whatever the side measurement is to get the perimeter. Here for part B, we have two sets of congruent sides, and we also have four right angles. So this is a rectangle. Anytime we're dealing with rectangle, the area is length times width, W times L, and the perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Finally, with C, we have a triangle. It's a three-sided figure. Anytime we have a three-sided figure, a triangle, it's always going to be 1/2 times it by the base times by the height. The height is always going to be um, a measurement from whatever we choose as the base, and it's going to be perpendicular to the base, and it's going to hit the opposite vertice. And then the perimeter is just the sum of the three sides, A plus B plus C. When you're dealing with a circle, it all depends on what information they give you. So first things first, if they give you the diameter, which in this case is a line segment that goes to both uh, edges of the circle, but it also goes through the center. That's the diameter. A radius is something that goes through the center and hits some endpoint on the circle. All right. A radius is always half the measure of the diameter, or a diameter is always half, or twice as big as a radius. So here's the thing, there's only one formula for area, and that is pi times r squared. So whether they give you the diameter or if they give you the radius, we must find the radius in order to get the area. Now with circumference, there's two formulas. It all depends on which information is given to you. If they give you the radius, you're going to use this formula, 2 pi r. If they give you the diameter, you're just going to use this one, pi times d, pi times the diameter. And then we go from there. So in this particular example, it says the inbounds portion of a singles tennis court is shown. They want you to find the perimeter and they want you to find the area. So the tennis court is a rectangle because we have 27, that means this is 27, and that means this is 78. So it's right angles, but not all four sides are congruent, so we're going to use that formula. So find the perimeter. Perimeter is 2L, we'll say 2 times 78, plus 2 times 27. We go over here, 2 times 78 is 156, plus 2 times 27 is 54, plus add them two together, we get 210, and perimeter is in feet. All right, area is going to be length times width. Length is 78, times it by the width, which is 27. 78 times 27 is 2,106, and because we're dealing with area, it's going to be square feet. All right, even though it's written as feet squared, that's not how you say it. It's said as square feet. On the bottom here, it says Uh, the width of the inbounds rectangle is increased to 36 feet for doubles play. Find the perimeter and area of that. So basically we just got here. This still stays at 78, but now instead of 30, instead of 27, it's 36. So now we just do the exact same thing. Perimeter is 2L, which is 78, plus 2W, which is 2 times 36. So now I get 2 times 78 again is 156, plus 2 times 36, which is 72. Add those two together, we get 228 feet. Get the area, we got 78 still. We multiply that by 36, length times width. Multiply those together, so now we get 2,808 square feet. All right, got to make sure you label it correctly. Um, Points will be taken off on assessments for incorrect labels, so make sure you get those done. All right, so here they want you, it says find an approximate circumference and area of the circle. All right, so there are two different ways that you can answer a problem dealing with circumference and area. The reason why there's two different answers is you can have an approximation or you can have an exact answer. All right. Anytime that they ask you to approximate, that means they want you to use the number 3.14 to represent pi. If they want the exact answer, they want pi in the answer. All right, so for example, let's say you get all done and you have an answer of 15 pi, okay? That is an example of an exact answer. Now, an approximation would be 15 times it by 3.14 because you're meaning that that is going to illustrate pi, and then 15 pi could also be 47.1 approximately. All right, so because they use the word approximately, we are going to use 3.14 to represent pi. So here we have a circle, which is they give us a radius. So the area is pi, which I'm going to use 3.14, times it by r, which is 8 squared. All right, so 8 squared is 64. So now I got 3.14 times it by 64. Multiply that here. We get an area of 200.96 meters, square meters. So that's the area. Looking at the circumference, since they give us the radius, it's going to be 2 pi, but because it's approximation, we're going to use 3.14 times it by the radius, which is 8. So now you just multiply those three together. 2 times 3.14 times it by 8. You get a circumference of 50.24, and that is just meters, okay? So like circumference is kind of like the perimeter term for circles. So keep that in mind. Here it says the smallest circle on an Olympic target is 12 centimeters in diameter. Find the approximate circumference and area of the smallest circle. So I'm just going to just draw this. I got my center point here, and they're telling me the diameter is 12 centimeters. So just draw that out. So first off, to look at area, we know that it's pi r squared. So first thing we have to do is find r. Okay, so r basically is going to be the diameter, which is 12 divided by 2, so that's 6. So that is going to be r. So now we can go about figuring out what the area is now that we know what the radius is. So because they use the word approximate, so now we're going to say area equals 3.14 to represent pi, times it by 6 squared. All right, the radius is 6. 6 squared is 36, so now I got 3.14 times it by 36. When I multiply those two together, I get 113.04 square centimeters. All right, I gotta find circumference. Circumference here is, since they gave us the diameter, I'm just gonna use it. So I got 3.14 times it by D, which is 12. 3.14 times it by 12 is approximately 37.68 centimeters. Okay. All right, so here it says triangle JKL has vertices at 1, 6, 6, 6, and 3, 2. So they're asking us to find the perimeter and the area. Okay, so in order for us to find the perimeter, we need to find the distance of all three sides. So JK is the easiest one to find because it's a horizontal line. I can just count. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So JK is 5 units. But JL and KL aren't vertical or horizontal lines. So now we have to use the distance formula. So looking at JL, JL is going to be equal to the square root of, and it's going to be, looks like 3 minus 1 quantity squared plus, that's the difference of the x values, 3 minus 1, 3, 1. And then we get 2 minus 6 quantity squared. So 3 minus 1 is 2, 2 squared is 4, so now I got the square root of 4 plus 2 minus 6 is negative 4, square that, I get 16, I get the square root of 20. Taking approximation of square root of 20, it is about 4.47. So so this is 5 and I got 4.47 units. So now I got to find KL. So now I go over here and say, okay, KL is going to be the square root of, all right, I got K, I got L, now I just use those. So now I got the difference of X values, 3 minus 6 squared plus 2 minus 6 quantity squared. 3 minus 6 is negative 3, negative 3 squared is 9, so I got the square root of 9 plus 2 minus 6, which is negative 4, negative 4 squared is 16. Add that to 9, I get the square root of 25, and that gives me 5. So this is 5 right here. All right, so to find the perimeter, it's going to be 5 plus 5 plus 4.47. 5 plus 5 plus 4.47 is perimeter of 14.47. There was no label, so I'm just going to call it units. All right, to find the area, remember area is 1/2 base times the height. And what I'm going to use is, I'm going to use this as my base. The reason why I'm going to use that as my base, because I can easily find the height, which is right here. And the base is 5. The height is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can say that this is going to be 1/2 times base, which is 5, times height, which is 4. So it's got 1/2 times it by 5 times it by 4, which gives us 10. So it's 10 square units in area. Or you could also write it as 10 square units. That's also another way of writing it as well. All right, so here it says you are rolling a, you are using a roller to to smooth a lawn. You can roll about 25 square yards in 1 minute. About how many minutes does it take to roll a lawn that is 120 feet long and 75 feet wide? So first off, in this, we have to do a hint here because we have two different units of measure. We have to change feet into yards. So first things first, what is that change going to be? Well, 3 feet equals 1 yard. So if I have 120 feet, so what I would do is I just kind of write this as a ratio. So if I can say 3 feet over 1 yard is going to be equal to, let's say we got 120 feet over X yards. So then I can just do cross products. I can say 1 times 120 is 120, 3 times X is X, so I can take 120, divide that by 3. So that means instead of it being 120 yards, or 120 feet, I'm sorry, 120 feet is the same as 40 yards. And then if we go 75, I got 75. Essentially, you just divide that by 3, and 75 feet equals 25 yards. Okay, so now that I have everything is one set of um, unit of measure, I can go about, all right, I got this here that is now 40 yards by 25 yards. And now they're asking how many minutes does it take to roll this lawn when it takes 120 square yards in 1 minute. So we have to figure out the area. So my area of this lawn is simply going to be 40 times it by 25. 40 times 25 is 1,000 square yards. And to figure this out, to figure out how many minutes, you're going to divide that by 125 square yards in 1 minute. So if I divide that by 125, it's going to tell me that it's going to take 8 minutes to roll this lawn. All right, so here it says, suppose a lawn is half as long and half as wide as the lawn above. Will it take half the time to roll? And it's asking us to explain. So let's just say I cut this in half. So if I cut this in half here, I cut this in half here. If you notice, this is now, if I cut everything in half, this is the portion of the lawn that they're talking about. They're asking, is it going to take half the time? The answer is no, because now if you look at this, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, and basically I have only a quarter of the lawn. So no, it's not going to take half the time. It's going to take a quarter of the time. So since, if you wanted to put an explanation, is since cutting the length and width in half, it makes it a quarter of the area. So it will be a quarter of the time, or 1/4. All right, so here it says the base of a triangle is 24 feet, which is illustrated here. The area is 216 square feet. Find the height. So it's a triangle, so area equals 1/2 base times height. They give us the area, which is right there. They give us the base, which is right there. We just need to find h. So I can say that's 216 equals 1/2 times it by 24. times it by h, which is what we don't know. 1/2 times 24 is 12, so now I got 216 equals 12h. And then we just simply divide everything by 12. 216 divided by 12 is 18. So the height is 18, and it is feet. Here it says the area of a triangle is 96 square inches, and its height is 8 inches. They want you to find the base. So same idea. I got area equals 1/2 base times height. They give us the area, which is 96. They give us now the height, which is 8. So I'm just trying to find the base, the value b. So 1/2 times 8, we can multiply that together, so it's 96 equals 4b. 96 divided by 4 to get b by itself, so that means that b equals 24 inches. All right, last one here. It says find the perimeter of the triangle shown at the right. So again, this one is just like what we had before when we were dealing with coordinate planes. We got to use the distance formula, all right? One you don't have to use. You don't have to use the distance formula for this one. You can count them. 1, 2, 3. So I already know that that's 3. So now I got to use the distance formula for AB and AC. So looking at AB, it's going to equal the square root of, and I'm just going to use 7 and 1. So 7 minus 1 squared plus 6 minus 1 squared. 7 minus 1 is 6. 6 squared is 36. Plus 6 minus 1 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So 36 plus 25 is square root of 61, which that is roughly 7.81, we'll call it. All right, so now we go and look at AC. And again, I'm going to go, what's difference? 7 minus 1 quantity squared plus 3 minus 1 quantity squared. 7 minus 1 is 6. 6 squared is 36 plus 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 36 plus 4 is 40. Square root of 40 is about 6.32. So I got 6.32. So I got to find the perimeter. I go here and say, okay, the perimeter is going to be 3 plus 7.81 plus 6.32. Add them together. So 3 plus 7.81 plus 6.32. Add them all together. I get 17.13 units. And that is being able to find perimeter, circumference, and area. Hope this helps. Till next time.